It's Patrick at Pals, and I'm at the Motor Works today with a 65 MG that's really special. And I've got the owner, William, here, and Mark Huff, who did all the work on the car. William, can you set this car up for me? What happened to it? Why did you come to Mark?
Yeah, so I bought this car 24 years ago.
Right.
Okay, had it totally restored by a guy in Wisconsin who just does race cars. The problem with the car, the persistent problem with the car is we had heat issues. So the car would not only run hot, but then inside as a passenger, you'd feel the heat and it was very uncomfortable. So summer was not the friend of this car. And also long road trips on the expressway, trips that were 4 hours, if you wanted to go somewhere.
Right.
After 4 hours, the car would just get really hot. So anyway, I had to have the engine rebuilt twice before because of heat issues. And I contacted Mark because I wanted to resolve this persistent heat problem.
Now, how did you find Mark? What was the connection? Why did you pick Motor Works in Dekalb? Because you're up in Lake Delavan, right?
Yeah, well, I'm actually in Chicago.
Chicago?
There's not a ton of people that have expertise in this, and so I got connected to. Or he might have actually been through that. It might have been through the.
I think it was
through the club in Chicago, the MG club in Chicago.
Okay.
Because they knew who all the experts are. And Mark's my expert.
Absolutely. So, Mark, take it from there. What happened? You had an overheating problem or a heating problem.
Well, and what I've actually seen this car now a few times. One was it was having some brake issues. I remember that. And I think there was even actually some running issues when I first saw it, where some things didn't feel quite right. So, and that was with the previous engine that we did some tuning and stuff like that, and did some different stuff with the brakes to get it better. This last time, you were on your way here. We were supposed to replace the front rotors on it because it had warped.
Oh, right.
And then on the way here, the motor, it got extremely hot, to which the motor actually burned a hole clean into a piston.
That's actually the second time that's happened.
Oh my gosh, so that required a full rebuild on the engine.
Right. So, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so that's why I didn't go back to the other guy, because we kept rebuilding the car. It's have to have been rebuilt 3 times.
Oh my goodness.
Every time after a road trip.
Oh wow.
Because the car gets so hot it actually melts the pistons.
Well, now today it's about 90 degrees. I know you fellas just went out in a test drive. How did it perform today?
Yeah, it was beautiful. You should tell him what you did. He's got to tell you all his secrets. What he did.
It was basically cruising down the road. She sat right at about 160 degrees. When we came back here, we purposely stopped and let it sit here and just idling to kind of mimic how it would act like if we were stuck in traffic somewhere. It built up to about 195, and then the auxiliary electric fan that I added to this car came online, and it brought it back down to about 180, and then it started cycling back and forth from there. But then once you get her back on the open road again, she'll drop all the way back down to about 160.
Right. Well, you got to tell him all the magic things he did. So he put the air intake here as opposed to behind the hot engine. He put it here. Amazing. He built this whole thing. He put the electric fan in. He put aluminum.
And we did the aluminum head on it. We went to a ceramic coated header to bring the exhaust temperature down. We also added this heat shield in so it keeps the heat away from the supercharger that it didn't have before either.
It was like breathing in a bag before. It was sucking in its own hot air. Now it's sucking in fresh air, and it's not heating itself.
And the other thing that I noticed, William, is the wiring repair and the alternator. I think that is so trick to have that on this car.
Mm-hmm.
It is just awesome.
You mean having it so cleaned up and nice?
Yes,
looking?
really cleaned up. And then the 100 amp alternator really makes a difference with the electrical system in this car.
Well, hopefully, because I used to deal with dead batteries a lot. So that's what happens, right? When you take more than you give back.
That is fantastic. Now, how long have you owned this car, William?
Well, I was saying I bought it actually. I think I bought it in 98, 99. I bought it in St. Louis, but it was a total hunk of junk. I took it to the guy to rebuild it, and he's like, I can't believe you actually paid money for this, because he's like, you basically paid for nothing. Nothing on this car is good, but live and learn. So, but anyway, been rebuilt 3 times, but this time I think it's going to be the final. I feel very good about it. Did you notice the supercharger?
I did. You know, William, we did several other videos on this car where Mark really detailed what he's done. But I really wanted to get together with you to see what your impression was after all the work was done.
Yeah. So the first thing that happened is because we changed the pulley here. The first thing I noticed is the power curve kicks in a lot earlier. Right, so normally you might have to get it up, and I don't even know what it was before, 3,000, something like that, before you really feel the supercharger put in. Now the supercharger at a much lower RPM kicks in, which is nice. And the other big thing is the heat. You don't feel heat coming into the car, but I think that's because he beefed up the area by the heat shield, and also obviously the engine is running cooler. So it's a much more comfortable car to drive.
That is wonderful. So I'm guessing that you're going to tell everybody about Mark and the Motorworks.
You know, I just don't know any other people that would have the lunacy to own a British car for 24 years and go through 3 rebuilds. No, those friends I've lost a long time ago. They've sold their cars. They've gone to therapy. They now.
Except when I look in the garage, I see nothing but MGs.
Right.
All
these
right.
are the people that fell off the wagon. They're not in my therapy group anymore. No longer in my therapy group.
Well, William, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. Enjoy this 65 MG.
Thank you. And I just wanted to show my gratitude to Mark for all the time you spent on this car, brother. I appreciate you.
You're more than welcome.
So grateful. Thank you.
Yes, you are more than welcome.
We already hugged. We're good.
If you're ever in Ocala, William, stop by Pals.
Okay.
See you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.